How many times have looked in the mirror and no longer recognized themselves because he tried to be everything to someone, and it turned out to be nothing for himself? The truth is hard, but it needs to be said: love should not cost your identity. There is a silent and destructive idea that loving really requires total sacrifice, personal renunciation, abandonment of yourself. But what if this is a lie that we learned wrong? In this video, I will show you why you don't have to get lost to love someone. Let's talk about relationships that get sick, passions that demand too much, and the courage to choose without ceasing to love. You will understand how it is possible to live a deep love without giving up your essence, and how the greatest Stoic philosophers can teach you to love with more balance, clarity, and dignity. Get ready to confront truths that you may never have had the courage to look at. Here, let's not romanticize suffering. Let us rescue what many have lost in the way to gather the right to love themselves first. Passion cannot steal its essence. Passion is often intense and charming, but it can't be an excuse to abandon ourselves. As Epictetus said, first tell yourself what you want to be and then do what you have to do. In love, it is possible to surrender without getting lost. Preserving your essence is the first act of respect for yourself. If you love is to include yourself in the equation, not to erase it. Healthy relationship does not require identity sacrifice. The idea that loving someone requires forgetting who you are is a dangerous myth. True love welcomes, does not nullify. No one should stop being who is just to keep someone else next door. Passion must raise us, do not decrease us. Healthy relationship is made of two integers, not from halves in war. When we get lost, we fail to contribute. Marco Aurelio said, "The soul becomes colorful with the color of its thoughts." If you delete your brightness, go out the connection. Stoic philosophy and love with limits. Stoicism teaches us to put reason above uncontrolled emotions. This does not mean not to feel, but to feel conscientious. Seneca stated, "Mastering yourself is the greatest of the triumphs." In love, this translates to knowing how far to go without injuring. It is possible to love with intensity without abandoning their own values. This is emotional maturity. The healthy relationship is born where there are clear limits, mutual respect, and freedom to be. The absence of limits transforms passion into prison, and love should not hurt. When we put the other in the center of our universe, we are no longer protagonists of our history. To preserve reason is to preserve self-love, and no one can give us what we do not have for ourselves. When you love, it is no longer love. There is a fine line between loving and annulling. When we cross this line, the name is no longer love, it is dependence. Healthy relationship starts with two autonomous beings who choose to walk together, not with one saving the other. True love does not suffocate, does not manipulate, does not require you to get lost. As Epictetus said, the key is to keep the company of people who remind you who you are. If you need to hide parts of yours to be accepted, you are not being loved, you are being tolerated. Toxic relationships often begin with the illusion of love, but real love does not deconstruct you. Loving someone cannot mean to stop loving oneself. This was never healthy. This will never be fair. The balance between reason and emotion. Stoicism values balance, and this is the secret of any lasting relationship. Marco Aurelio taught you have power over your mind, not about external events. Realize this, and you will find the strength. When we balance reason and emotion, we avoid impulsive decisions that hurt ourselves. Healthy relationship requires rationality to say no when necessary. The love that is born in the imbalance tends to collapse in chaos. Emotion without conscience becomes stormy. It is not about loving less, but of loving better with maturity, with presence, with limits. Reason does not kill love. It directs it, strengthens, and sustains over time. Identity the basis of a mature love. There is no love without preserved identity. Who goes out in the relationship is creating an inevitable void. Seneca said, "Life is like a play no matter how much it lasts, but how well it was staged." You do not need to become another to be worthy of love. Healthy relationship begins with authenticity. To love is to accept the other as he is and refusing to stop being you. Identity is what you have the most sacred. Getting up with her is giving up love for yourself. The illusion that we need to change everything in us to be accepted is the seed of frustration. Real love recognizes, values, and enchants who you already are. It does not require masks. Healthy relationship is conscious construction. Healthy relationship is not chance. It is conscious construction. You need to know what you want, who you are, and what you don't accept. This is self-love. Marco Aurelio said the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Relationship is not territory for those who live lost to please. It is a place for real exchanges, to grow together and not to diminish. Every relationship requires dialogue, boundaries, and clarity of intent. This is maturity. Who is lost in love ends up charging the other for something he himself abandoned the self. The importance of not romanticizing suffering. We have a bad tendency to romanticize difficult relationships, as if love were only valid with pain. But this is a dangerous distortion. Constant suffering is not proof of love. It is a sign of imbalance. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how do you react that matters." If you leave yourself waiting for the other to value you, you are loving it wrong. Healthy relationship does not require daily tears or absurd renunciations. It is possible to love in peace. It is possible to surrender without carrying the weight of the world. Love is not sacrifice. It is presence. It is true. It is lightness. Freedom and love are not enemies. A lot of people believe that loving is to arrest, limit, watch. But this is possession, not love. Healthy relationship respects the freedom of the other and preserves yours. As Marco Aurelio said, all we hear is an opinion, not a fact. All we see is a perspective, not the truth. Controlling the other for fear of losing him is a sign of insecurity, not love. Love grows when there is room to breathe, to be, to live. Freedom is not a threat, it is oxygen for healthy relationships. To love someone is to allow this person to continue to be themselves, and you too. Reason as guardian of self-love. Reason is not the enemy of love. She is the guardian of self-love. Without it, we surrender too much, wait too much, and suffer beyond the necessary. Seneca said, "There is no favorable wind for those who don't know where you go." If you don't know who you are, any relationship will make you get lost. Reason reminds us of what we deserve, what is fair and healthy. It protects us from destructive relationships, empty promises, from loves that hurt more than they heal. Healthy relationship starts with someone who knows how to take care of himself before taking care of the other. When love becomes guilty, it is common to hear, "I did everything for that person." But did this all include whether it nullifies? Many get lost trying to prove that they deserve to be loved. But love is not required. Epictetus reminds us no person is free if he is not a master of himself. If you need to hurt yourself to keep someone, this love is out of balance. Healthy relationship should never become a field of guilt or blackmail. If you feel more pain than joy, more charge than welcome, it's time to rethink. To love is also to know the time to leave where you are not respected. More the root of everything. There is no healthy relationship without self-love. Those who do not love each other accept crumbs, accept little, accept pain. Seneca said, "The biggest obstacle to living is the expectation, which depends on tomorrow. Who loves themselves lives now firmly, knowing what they deserve." Healthy relationship is a consequence of a healthy relationship with yourself. Loving the other begins by not leaving to fit in small loves. You deserve a love that sees you whole, not that you want to leave. Loving without getting lost, the Stoic path. Loving without getting lost is possible, necessary, and urgent. Stoicism shows us that self-domain is the greatest gift we can give ourselves. Marco Aurelio said, "Happiness is within you." You can live in intense, deep, and true love without giving up your essence. Healthy relationship is the one that brings you closer to who you are, not that goes away. When you love yourself, you know exactly what you deserve. And in this place of consciousness, the most beautiful love is born, the one who welcomes without erasing. Fear of being alone does not justify self-abandonment. How many times have you arrested a relationship for fear of loneliness? This is one of the most common and most painful mistakes. Seneca said, "Solitude is not in space, but in the soul." Being accompanied does not mean being filled. Staying with someone just not to stay is just a right way for personal emptying. Healthy relationship starts when you learn to be well with yourself. If silence scares you, it is because you have not made up with your own company. The fear of being is only an open door for unbalanced and dependent relationships. You deserve to be with someone for love, not for being alone. The courage to face solitude strengthens your identity and avoids loves that imprison it. Love that is born of fear will never be light, it will be just an emotional agreement with needy. Epictetus said, "Wealth does not consist of having great possessions, but to have few needs." You don't have to be content with little for fear of being with nothing. You are everything, even alone. When to say no, it is also an act of love. A lot of people think to love is to say yes all the time. But no is also a gesture of love, especially itself. Knowing how to say is not to protect your limits, your emotions, your mental health. Marco Aurelio said, "Stop arguing on what a good man should be. Be one." This is also true for those who relate. Stop dreaming of ideal relationships and start practicing real limits. To say no to situations that hurt you is to say yes to your dignity. Healthy relationship requires people who know how to impose boundaries without fear of rejection. If you accept everything silent, the other will never know where it hurts you. You are not here to please at all costs, but to live with truth and consistency. Seneca taught, "Nothing is more honored than a heart that knows what you want." Be honest with your boundaries, your desires, with your no. Those who really love you will respect even your most silent limits. To love is to walk beside, not carry on the back. There is a big difference between supporting and carrying someone. When love becomes a unilateral weight, it is no longer healthy. Healthy relationship is made of reciprocity, exchanges, true partnership. If you are always giving in, giving up, something is out of balance. Marco Aurelio said everything that happens is natural and must be accepted with tranquility. Accepting the other is noble, but accepting that only you donate is self-sabotage. You don't have to empty yourself to fill someone who doesn't want to feel alone. To love is not to save the other, to extend your hand as you walk along. Those who donate without receiving ends up drained emotionally. Seneca reminds us, life is long if you know how to use it. Use your life to live relationships that disappear, not that drain your vital energy. Now that you have come here, tell me, how many times have you stopped listening just so as not to disappoint someone? How many times has you accepted crumbs in the name of a love that only consumed you? Isn't it time to put self-love at the center of your life? You do not need to choose between loving someone and loving yourself. You can and should do both. Stoicism shows us that living with balance, reason, and conscience is the greatest gesture of love we can have with ourselves and with the other as well. So take a deep breath and reflect, what changes are you going to make from today? What did you learn here that can transform your relationships? And above all, what are you going to do to never get lost from yourself? If this content has touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and enable notifications, because here we talk about what matters: love with truth, maturity, and freedom. Your journey of self-knowledge and balance is just beginning, and you don't have to live it alone.